Thanks for locking in with 77 Flavors of Chicago. We're your host, Dario.
And I'm Sarah, and I hope you're ready to learn with us.
Today, you're going to learn about Chicago's second, quote unquote, permanent resident, Jean Baptiste Beaubien.
Hey.
Yeah. But welcome to 77 Flavors again. How y'all doing?
Amazing.
That's fantastic, y'all, man. I hope it continues. Whatever that is.
Damn.
Man, what a week we had.
For real.
Wow. I mean, it was.
Go first, because it was your birthday.
Well, birthday week. Man, shout out to my closest friends. Shout out to everybody that wished happy birthday to a real one. That was a great birthday. I did absolutely nothing, but all week was lit, and I loved it. It's the best thing. But also, y'all, your boy had I curated an exhibit that is now on display at the Harold Washington Library. Y'all can go see it too. It's free.
It's really cool too.
Yeah, right down the Grand Hallway. We had an opening and everything, opening night, everything. Fantastic. Made a
amazing.
Book. It was crazy. It's me, the commissioner of the library, commissioner of DCFS, I believe it was, and then the team from University of Chicago. Shout out to them because they the one that commissioned your boy over a year ago. Not over a year, but a long time ago, November of last year. So shout out to them for getting it. But like that was the capstone of my week. Like in the beginning of the week, it was NASCAR.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. We talked about
really
that already.
Fun week.
It was a great week. Thank you to anybody who listened who came, or anybody who wished me happy birthday. That was what a way to bring in 40.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing over there?
Nothing.
Yeah, you getting this weekend?
Yep.
Okay. But yeah. What about you?
I'm good. I mean, I enjoyed your birthday week with you. I feel like we had a pretty good week.
We had a very good week.
I can't remember anything specific that I did that was like extra special this week, but it was a good week. I hung out with my friend Kat over the weekend, and we went to a yard sale, and we went like a million different spots, and it was like a billion degrees outside. And we went to Bang Bang Pie for breakfast.
Yeah.
And they have they have a really good breakfast grits, but they don't.
Grits is fantastic.
Yeah, grits
go crazy.
They do like stewed greens and eggs and hot sauce on grits. Very good.
Okay.
Yeah, and their biscuits are incredible. So,
man,
it was a good week.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I'm excited for this week. Can't wait.
Yeah. We got it. Man, look, we got some fun things down the pipeline, y'all.
Yeah.
The hits keep on coming. Oh, side note, sidebar. So we know that if you search our podcast, there's 2 podcasts, right?
Right.
That show up, and that was literally from the jump. We didn't know we were doing.
Yeah.
We just wanted it on Apple, and it was a delay for getting it on Apple, but it was how it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, so when we didn't see it, we were like, what's going on? So I manually put it on it. So now
there's 2 of them.
It's 2 of them. And one of them is a bad link now. So if you've been listening on there, hopefully you find the right link.
Yeah.
Because we're still here. We haven't gone anywhere.
Because apparently one of them glitches.
One of them will shut down the Apple iTunes app. I don't know about the other one, but if you listen on iTunes and you see that one, I can confirm that it does shut down. The reason why I brought that up is because I know we have a listener who apparently likes our podcast, and she did not give us a good. She gave us a 1
star.
A 1 star because she said, "Oh no, I love this podcast, but is it not working for anybody else? Let me know." 1 star. Wow, you love us.
Didn't need to be a 1 star.
Damn, you didn't have to give a 1. You didn't have to rate or nothing. You didn't do that.
First of all, you could have just DM'd our asses.
You could have messaged us. Now you heard the score, but you say you love us? Come on now, that hurts.
That's all right.
It is all right. I mean, but like, goddamn.
Go delete your...
No, she can't. I tried to, message the user and be like,
is that
hey,
an option?
I thought I tried. I went to Apple and the on the back end and tried to, get in contact and respond to the message. I know you people do respond back to them. You see, on especially the game apps, you know what I mean? Like the developer come on and be like, "No, your bum ass got an old ass phone." No, what I mean? Like, so I was trying to do that, but if you're listening, hopefully you listen to this one, and here is my response. So please find this one and continue. And if anybody else has had trouble, please DM us. Don't say you love us and then give us a 1, because that hurts us. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, I saw that and I was like, God damn, man.
I know.
We were just on an increase too.
Yeah.
We were just like moving back up to like that 4.7 mark.
Yeah.
Now we back down to 4.5. God, dog. Anyway,
well, if you guys do love us,
yes,
consider leaving us a 5-star.
You love us for real.
You don't even have to write a review. You could just hit 5 stars on there.
That's it.
And that would really help us.
You know what it is? I think it was I love this podcast.
I know.
That's the part that got me. You love us but gave us a 1.
I think they it's all right. They probably didn't know that it affected.
On what planet does a rating
I don't know. Yeah, it's all right.
It's all good. It is all good.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, you ready to? You got this weekend?
I do. I have a really good one.
Okay, let's see.
This week. So on July 18th of 1871, I know, the engineers were able to reverse the Chicago River.
Hey.
Instead of carrying the city's waste into Lake Michigan, which was the source of our drinking water, still is, it stopped doing that. They reversed it.
Yeah. So there's a lot to that, but that's a good
so
one.
it flows towards the Mississippi instead of Lake Michigan. Mm-hmm. That is where it was reversed to. So I feel like we experienced the Chicago River. Obviously, we know it's downtown. I think there's a lot of waterways in the Chicagoland area that sometimes feel like they're connected. Like sometimes I'm like, is this the Des Plaines River? Is this the Chicago River? Where am I at? And I like to open up my map and just like see what body of water I'm near. Some of them are channels. Some of them are like man-made river. Yeah. But I did not realize, and I think like when we were doing the I&M Canal episode, I didn't realize how far the bodies of water traveled.
165 miles.
But specifically, like, I don't know why I didn't think the Chicago River was like that long.
Well, we're going to have to do a whole episode. We already know
planned.
That's planned. But for real quickly, when they reversed the flow of the river, they actually had to connect the river.
Right.
So I know we talked about it during the I&M episode, but they had to connect that the river. So the Chicago River, the South Branch, stopped.
Right.
At a point.
Yeah.
And it had to be canaled, with I&M, and that's how it connected all the major waterways up north here to get to so very interesting.
Yeah, and it's 156 miles, which is
165 miles, right?
The Chicago River?
Yeah, total. All of the rivers together, 165.
Yeah, well, the Chicago River specifically is 156.
That's crazy.
I know. Really cool. I can't wait to do the I&M Canal.
Yeah. You mean Chicago River?
The Chicago River.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can't. I was about to say, damn, didn't we do that?
Yeah.
But yeah, that episode is going to be, because we got some dope facts.
Dumb facts.
Yeah, we got some dumb, stupid, good facts.
Yeah.
We actually have some really good episodes planned. But this episode, let's jump right into it. This episode is actually pretty interesting, right? Maybe if you followed our reels, you probably saw at one point one of the runaways was Chicago's second resident was also named John Baptiste, but Beaubien. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, or Beaubien or Beaubien, but it's Beaubien. So for the sake of me getting it wrong,
like Beau is Beau.
I'm gonna just I know Beau and then Bien. I'm gonna just say
it's Beaubien in French.
Yeah, right. I don't know. Maybe it is. I'm gonna just call him John Baptiste B. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm gonna call him for the rest of this episode. JBB. So that y'all know who I'm talking about. But let's get into it. And there's a quote. There's quotes. Second
Why?
Second, and we'll get to it. Because is he the second? But I'll explain how the justification came.
Okay.
How I interpret the justification. So, JBB was born in Detroit, Michigan.
Michigan.
Because that's what they be doing. No, I was playing. They be missing the playoffs. Sorry, y'all, man. I'm sorry, Detroit. Y'all Pistons had a bad year. Y'all ain't never gonna let us down. Anyway, he was born in Detroit, and he was a fur trader. He was a civil leader. He was Chicago's second, quote unquote, resident, and he moved here around 1804.
I feel like is
came here.
fur trader like the occupation of the upper middle class? Like I don't. I don't know how wealthy he was, but was the fur trade just like the largest trade happening at the time
in the 18th century? Yes. 18th century, that was one of the largest ones, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, think about it. You really didn't have much.
Right. What else?
Yeah, right.
Doing?
Fur was, if you can get fur from, especially an animal, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then make it. I mean, because think about it. That was manufacturing. You had to go hunt the animal. You had to manufacture that. Like, put it together to be something. You know what I mean? Like a jacket, or coat, or hat.
I almost kind of want to do an episode on like the early economy of the Midwest. I feel like there's
what's holding us back?
Because we did do an episode on the food industry and like how at that time, like 17th, 18th, 19th century, and that was really eye opening.
What's cool that you said that is part of this episode. I'm gonna tap into that just for a little bit. I'm gonna glaze over it because it is a big topic. So, but quickly, we'll keep on going because I got a fun fact here, y'all. Did y'all know that John Baptiste B, his brother Mark B, built the first hotel here in Chicago?
Really?
Yes, the Saguenay Hotel.
Wow.
In 1831.
So the site of the Saguenay Hotel is actually at Wolf Point, which is where the river creates that Y shape.
Yeah,
that is a really cool point. We've done a reel on it before.
That's a great point.
It's the first post office was located right there. There's a little plaque that you can go see, and then the Saguenay Hotel and the site where Lincoln accepted his nomination for president.
Yeah, no.
It's a really cool area that you might miss the plaque, but it's right there. And if you want to go check it out. Also,
to go along with that fun fact, that's where they voted to have Chicago become a town. The town of Chicago.
The town of Chicago.
All right,
do you remember what year they voted for it to become a town?
1831. Beaubien, he worked in Milwaukee, okay? He worked in Milwaukee, and that's kind of how he started his fur trade. So he came from Detroit, went to Michigan, Milwaukee. Yep, and he was doing fur trade. He was doing fur trade in Milwaukee and like Green Bay, like kind of making them travels, right?
That's the path. That's the route.
That was the route. And he first visited Chicago in 1804. Visited Chicago, okay, in 1804. And that was that was the time when the first Fort Dearborn was created. Now, quick little sidebar in the story. John Baptiste Point de Sable is documented in notes that he came here in 1790.
Right.
Okay, so we know
we're about 15 years removed.
Yeah, we know he was here first, right? Yeah. He came here first and he settled, right? John Kinzie. Now there's two John Kinzies, not to get confused. John Kinzie, John Kinzie was the one during this time. He came around 1800. Okay, yeah.
So was John Baptiste Point du Sable living here by himself for 15 years? Like, no, I don't understand how.
No, he had his whole family,
right,
his wife.
But are they not considered seconds? Like
who?
I guess his
John Baptiste
women didn't have rights. Like his wife wouldn't be the second settler,
person.
Right?
Yeah, I guess.
So no other family lived here other than the indigenous population.
Permanent settler.
So no one lived here
permanently. Right. He was the first one that set up shop, set up like a house and said, I'm living here.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it gets even crazier. Y'all got to follow me this episode because like the point is, quote, John Baptiste Beaubien was number 2, but was he? Because like we said, he came in 1804. Kinzie came in 1800. But why wasn't he? I'll get to it. Let's continue.
Okay.
So, like I said, he would travel back and forth between John BB. He would travel back and forth between Milwaukee, Chicago, Green Bay.
Yeah.
That was his business. So when he came here in 1804, he was kind of like, okay, Fort Dearborn we got some land plot out here. Cool, we're gonna keep on moving back and forth. I still got a business to do. It wasn't until 1812 when he came back and moved to Chicago. Okay, that's when he bought a house, I should say. He didn't move. He bought a house here in Chicago, okay? Because business was obviously starting to move in a good direction. But 1812 was a tumultuous year. That was when War of 1812. This is where the story goes off the rails.
Okay.
So when he bought the house, he kind of moved back to Milwaukee after he bought the house because the Native Americans at that time were just starting to be like, nah, we got the Europeans coming in, taking that land, and they had just started going on a spree of killing the whites. Okay, so they start killing whites. John BB was like, I'm out. like it's unsafe here. Yeah. I'm leaving. Enter John Kinzie. John Kinzie was friends with John Beaubien, right? They were friends. They were cool. And he was also a fur trader, right? He decided to stay at Fort Dearborn because when the slaughter of the whites first happened, when John BB left earlier that year, that was the preamble to the War of 1812. And the War of 1812 was when the Native Americans burned down Fort Dearborn to the point when John Kinzie moved in, and we got to do a whole separate one on John Kinzie because this is
John
wild.
Kinzie the one that first recorded murder? That John Kinzie?
So John Kinzie, against people's wishes, moved into Fort Dearborn. It was like, don't do that. It's hostile right now. This is native land, and they don't want us here. They outnumber us. We don't know what's going on. You don't go there. So he moved in anyway. Shit started to happen. That's when he killed an interpreter who was on the other side of the war. And so John Kinzie created this beef. They told him, y'all supposed to go to Fort Wayne, Indiana. You know what I mean? Or what was soon to be. He was supposed to go there. He didn't do it. So he killed the dude. Now everybody on his ass. Guess what he did? He left and went to Milwaukee. Yeah. He left. He dodged town.
Of course he did.
So now, here's where it's crazy. Because if you research the War of 1812, shit went left, right? I mean, the Fort Dearborn got torn down.
Born down.
Yeah, they killed all the Americans or the Europeans. They just destroyed it, right? Meanwhile, he left. You know what I mean? John Kinzie left. Was like, shit. He went to Milwaukee, but they was on his ass there. Nah, we know what you did, son. Yeah, we know what you did. You know what I mean? And so, he up here ducking and dodging now. You know what I mean? John Kinzie is ducking and dodging, right? Now, whole time, John Beaubien is like, hey man, look, I'm doing my little business.
Don't nobody mess with me.
Nobody
leave me alone.
Nobody mess with me. I'm good. I didn't do nothing. I left. You know what I mean? I'm good. So,
and at this point, JBB is in Milwaukee.
He's in Milwaukee, right?
And John Kinzie is in Milwaukee.
John Kinzie is in Milwaukee, right? But
do they know each other?
Yeah, they know each other. John Kinzie had to leave Milwaukee.
Okay.
Because they was on his ass there. Him. Yeah. So this brings us, that's 1812. Fast forward to 1816, okay? This is wild. He's 1816, right? When the second Fort Dearborn is starting to be built. Now, here's why that was built.
Okay.
Second Fort Dearborn was built because America, the British, right? I mean, or the Europeans, they were like, well, hold on. I guess it was America, U.S. The U.S. at that point was like, hey, in order to get that prime real estate of Chicago, let's go ahead and rebuild Fort Dearborn, and then when this goes to legislature to make Illinois a state, we got to include that land. So Illinois was already going to be claimed, right? And we know Illinois became a state 1818.
Right.
So.
Wow, a year after?
2 years after.
No, but I mean after they reversed the river? No, I'm sorry, 71. What are you talking about?
Yep. So the U.S. was like, yo, here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Add in there the part above Chicago. So let's add that.
Milwaukee.
No, not Milwaukee.
They didn't go that far.
No, they ain't go that far. They
went
to Illinois
Skokie,
border where we are.
Evanston.
Yeah. They went to that. Gotcha. Add that because that includes Chicago, this area called Chicago.
Yeah.
And we got Fort Dearborn. And so when we came back, when they come back to us and the Indians come back here, the Native Americans come back, hey, this is Illinois now. This is United States land. And so that's what happened in between 1816 and 1818.
Ain't that some shit?
It is some shit because that's when everybody started coming back. Specifically, JBB came back, right? And he started his business. He started doing his thing. Now, where it's crazy is what you're thinking is like, all right, so where's the second, right? I think they consider him the second civilian because John Kinzie had too much bullshit behind him.
Yeah, and he dipped.
And matter of fact, he not only did the dip, but he got kidnapped by the British,
right,
and taken back to, I believe it's Nova Scotia, some shit like that.
And then
they took him, and he had to escape that shit and then come back to the United States
because he killed a Canadian.
He killed somebody, you know what I mean? And he was running from the law, you know what I mean? Like, so not even law at that point, he was just running from people. And so I believe, just putting this together, doing the research, they don't consider him because there's a plaque by the Chicago Cultural Center that is dedicated to John Beaubien.
Right.
And it says second civilian. It doesn't say second permanent resident like how the plaque does for John Baptiste. Point de Sable. Yeah. So it doesn't say that. It says second civilian. And so I feel like that is it's one of those things where it's like,
interesting.
We want to consider John Kinzie. Now, remember, in the I did the reel, and we talked about John Kinzie killing the guy, right?
Yeah.
And how I said that his daughter could have been, right? Could have been considered the first non-indigenous, right? A second non-indigenous.
Right.
Well, the reason why that's not true is because Jean Baptiste DuSable's kids were born right before, before there. So that just kind of exited out. The gray area of all the people being first, second, third, fourth, fifth. I feel like they were just doing families.
Right.
They were just doing
the households.
Right. Who's the head of the household? Who's the person? You the first, you the second, right? So so that's where second is in quotes because essentially JBB was a good guy. Also, John Kinzie owned slaves. So that's kind of like one of them things where you're like, and we know.
Where did he own the slaves? Because he
was all over the place. I mean, like,
but he moved. Like, where did he own them?
I believe probably Illinois. True. He's probably really all over where he was. What I mean? He's probably saw black people as they doing it down south. You can work for me. You know what I mean? On the contrary, JBB employed blacks, free blacks.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So pretty fun little history with him. Now, check this out. When he moved back, let's get some more about who JBB turned out to be. Yeah. Because it's some pretty fun, very fun, interesting facts about him. Rabbit hole is deep.
That's what she said.
Yeah, buddy. So in 1823, the company that he worked for when he came back was called the American Fur Company. And again, that's another rabbit hole thing you can go down. The American Fur Company started to get so big. It was him and John Kinzie came back and worked for that. The guy that they worked for kind of took over that business, and they came back and again they worked for him. Eventually, the U.S. government started stepping in because there was a shit ton of treaties that happened between 1812, 16, all the way to 1833, when Chicago was actually the 1833 Treaty of Chicago, when Chicago became a town. There was a whole bunch of treaties where, long story short, we don't need to go over this history again, but we cheated the natives out of land, right? That's basically what every treaty was to benefit the U.S.
Right.
And so that's what happened. They start pushing people out. So then the fur trading business started to get bigger. And when the U.S. started making these laws and started to grow in government and things like that, they gave the part of the company that JBB and Kinzie worked for to John Beaubien.
Oh.
For $500.
Oh.
So, and it was valued at $500.
What year was this?
1823.
I'm just curious how
Yeah.
much $500 is in 1823.
Right. 1823, they gave him part of that company, which also, get this, was part of the second Fort Dearborn.
Oh.
Yeah, part of the second Fort Dearborn. And so then when they did Chicago's first ever, like, public information of like who makes the most money and all the tax information, which was 1823. Guess who was number one? Who owned who was the richest person in Chicago?
Who?
John Beaubien Baptiste
Wow.
Beaubien. Yes, he was the first one, valued at $1,000 worth of land.
That's a decent amount of money because $500 in 1820 is about $13,000.
13?
Today.
13?
Yeah.
That's not bad for back then. Shit, apparently.
But I don't know how true this is.
Yeah, that seemed a little low.
Because then the other thing says $65,000.
Well, we'll go with 65,000 because that sounds about right. But he also, that same year, or 2 years later, he hosted Chicago's first town election.
Oh.
Yes. And keep in mind, Chicago is not a town yet.
Do you know what they elected? Like what were
they were
mayors and stuff
not mayors.
like that,
It was like officials to kind of like, because it's 1825. It's not a town. It's not anything.
You good over
It's
there,
just
Bubble
yeah. Shit. Every time I try to talk, man, it wasn't anything. So they were just electing people to kind of like, all right, let's get some organization here because Chicago is still kind of like understanding who coming into its own right now.
Yeah.
So we fast forward to 1833. Chicago became the town of Chicago. And guess who became the first colonel of the Cook County militia?
Who?
John Baptiste Beaubien. Yeah, he became the first, which that later became the 60th Illinois Militia Regiment.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, it's basically when it's time for the armies and wars and things like that.
Yeah,
that's what that is.
Why would the town of Chicago need? I guess it
was Cook County. Remember we talked Cook County. It was Cook County. So remember how Cook County and Chicago, we talked about that. They kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
We'll do a Cook County episode in relation to Chicago. They go hand in hand. Now here's one last fun fact. One very cool fun fact about John Baptiste Beaubien, Chicago's second civilian. He dedicated 2 plots of land to Chicago, and it's where the land he located was for Chicago's first Catholic church.
Of course.
Yes, St. Mary's Catholic Church. He dedicated that land where it was. Now, that was over by Madison, State and Lake, right? State and Lake. Now, here's the rabbit hole with that. Did y'all know that became in 1843, so 10 years after it had started, they also started the first diocese of Chicago.
Oh.
From that. Because it had moved. So
wow.
St. Mary's Catholic Church actually like expanded and started to grow. So what they did was they built one, and then the next one was built across the street, and then the next one was built like a little bit down the street. The current old St. Mary's is right where we walked past and we stood in front of it on Motors Row.
Oh, wow.
Yes, 1500 South Michigan Avenue. And so that's the oldest, but it's part of that lineage. There were 6 buildings, and it's the 6th iteration of St. Mary's Church. But in 1843, when they created the diocese, guess what they named it? Holy Name. Holy Name Cathedral is now located at Wabash and I forgot the cross street there, but that's where this came from. It all started because he donated land, and that's how it happens. Chicago is dope, man. We got some deep ties here, don't we?
For real.
It'd be amazing how you learn some shit, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
This was okay.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say it was a really interesting one.
Yeah. Chicago's second.
This really early history is interesting. It could be very dark, I feel like.
Very dark. Shit, wait till we talk about John Kinzie.
Yikes.
Like, but also keep this in mind. John Kinzie, that as we know, so John Kinzie, the one in this story, is not the same John Kinzie that ran for mayor. That was his son.
Oh, yeah.
And it's John, I believe it's John H. Kinzie.
Yeah.
So 2 different Kinzies there, y'all. And which that's another interesting fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we'll talk about.
Yeah, this was I really like this one. I can't wait to talk about. I feel like we need, and every time we talk about these like older stories, I'm like, we should do a Fort Dearborn episode. I kind of want to learn more about like the forts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Like Fort Wayne, Fort Dearborn, all those stuff.
Because we know where to get the maps from.
Hell yeah.
Another quick one before we get out of here. Did you know that the John Kinzie in this story, when he moved to Chicago, he bought John Baptiste Point Disciples' house.
Wow.
And lived in it. So that's part of the who was second, who wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, so
wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is really cool. Well, if you did enjoy this episode, please share it with someone you love. Leave us a good review. Follow us on Instagram if you're not already. We are 77 Flavors Shy on all socials. And if you did not enjoy this episode, that's all right. Check back next week if this didn't glitch and you actually got to listen to it. We'll see you then. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode, and we hope you loved it.
And if you could, please follow us on social media at 77 Flavors Shy on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter.
If you have any ideas or deep dives that you'd love us to do, please contact us at media@77flavorsshy. That's the number 77 flavors and shy for Chicago.com.
If you like visuals, please subscribe and follow and watch us on our YouTube channel at the same thing, 77 Flavors Shy, or search 77 Flavors of Chicago.
If you would like to support us monetarily, go ahead and click that Buzzsprout link in the description of this episode.
And as always, we gonna see you next week. Peace.